What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is another pure variant deck build. As I say all the time, if you guys are familiar with our live duels and our deck builds, they are pure in the purest sense. So only mutant monsters in the extra deck and no hand traps in the main deck, and only the best tech cards we can find which feel that they really help the engine or bring out the best within its theme. So let us know what you guys would like to see more of. We guys, Tyler and I, that is, appreciate what you guys leave in the comments below. Continue to leave likes. You guys have been great with that. Consider subscribing. We appreciate all the support that you guys show. So without further ado, I'll get into the pure variant mutant deck. Now, this deck has been insanely powerful, and with a little help from its new card and a little help from the ban list, this deck is incredibly hard to stall. This has so many ways to play around interruptions. Tyler and I just did a tournament, which may be up by the time this deck build goes up, but this is insane with how powerful this deck has become in terms of consistency. So let's get into it. The main deck hasn't changed because it hasn't received new support. So it is 3 copies of Synthesis. Upon fusion summon, it can destroy a card on the field. And then if our opponent activates a card or effect, we can choose to not be affected by that card type for the rest of the turn. So very unique protection. So for example, if our opponent activates Raigeki, we can declare spell. It can't be destroyed, or it's essentially unaffected by spell cards for the rest of the turn. So very, very interesting, and a good card to summon in our opponent's turn to pop something that they control. But the big boy in the archetype, Mutant Ultimus. So this is an Omni-Negate which will banish after it is negated and will float into 3 banished mutant cards, which we'll generally have a plethora of. This is an insane boss monster, 3500 Omni-Negate that banishes. Very, very strong, surprisingly easy to go into in this archetype, especially now. So that's the extra deck. Like I said, it is only pure. You can definitely run other stuff if you want. There's plenty of room to run other stuff, but this is a pure, in the purest sense, mutant deck. The main deck is generally where you get to see some interesting tech cards. So to start it off, 3 copies of Mutant MO5. Upon summon, this will search a mutant monster from deck to hand. And then you contribute this and banish a monster, spell, or trap from your hand or field, and special summon from your hand or deck the corresponding mutant monster. So the main deck also has boss monsters, which is really, really neat. If we tribute this and banish a monster from hand or field, we can special summon Mutant Beast. If we tribute this and banish a spell from hand or field, we can special summon Mutant Mist. And if we tribute it and banish a trap from hand or field, we can special summon Mutant Arsenal. I'll be going through all of these shortly, but very, very interesting. Not only having a search, but can special summon from the deck, which is where we're going to be doing all our special summoning from. So very, very powerful. Mutant ST46, exactly the same as MO5, except ST46 searches a mutant spell or trap, so just as pivotal. Very, very strong. Those are definitely 3 of. The next, which is the newest card in the archetype, Mutant. Horrible name in the TCG. I believe in the OCG it translated to Mutant Mutator, which made more sense. Mutant sounds a bit wacky. But this is a bit different. And this is where it's really hard for our opponent to lock us down. If we control a mutant monster, we can special summon this from the hand. That's already great because we're always going to have a mutant monster on the field. Now this does have a similar clause like the first 2 I said, but it's a bit different and even better. Tribute this monster, banish a mutant card from your deck, special summon that corresponding monster. So it still works the same. Spell, monster, trap will get, you know, Mist, Beast, and Arsenal, which I'll go through next. But the fact that we contribute this and banish from the deck to special summon the monster we need means we don't have to have the resources in hand. This is a 1-card combo that goes into a boss monster from the deck. The downside is we take a life point hit equal to the attack of the monster we summon, but who cares? If we can special summon a very powerful monster from the deck. This is a 3 of. This is one we always want to see in our opening hand. It's one we want to search if we don't, because not only does it special summon itself, it special summons something else from the deck. Very, very powerful. Just a shame it has such a wacky name, but those are insane, those 3 monsters. Now getting into the boss monsters. 2 copies of Mutant Arsenal. So this will be summoned if we banish a trap. If our opponent activates a monster effect, we can banish 1 card from our hand or field to banish a monster our opponent controls. Very, very handy when we just want to do a pure interruption. Doesn't negate, which is a bit of a shame, but I can understand it may be a bit overpowered. Does have 3k attack. Very, very strong. When destroyed, it will float into a banished mutant trap. So, sorry, not banished trap, mutant spell. So, very, very powerful. I like running 2 ofs because you don't want to see these in the hand. And we're special summoning them from the deck. Like I said, Mutant can single-handedly banish a trap, go straight into Arsenal. The best one, in my opinion, is Mutant Beast. So this can be summoned if we banish a mutant monster. This will negate a spell card and banish it. Very, very powerful. Same cost, we need to banish a card from my hand or field, but spell cards obviously being more pivotal than anything for the most part. Very, very powerful. We want to float into this as soon as possible. Not float it, we want to go into it. Mutant, for example, special summon itself, tribute itself, banish another copy of this because it doesn't state it can't. Go into Mutant Beast, so you've got yourself a spell negate. Very, very powerful. The last of the boss monsters in the main deck is Mutant Mist. This is definitely the weakest of the bunch. If our opponent activates a trap card, we can, banish 1 card from hand or field, draw 2 cards. Would have been better if it was just straight up draw 2, because our opponent using a trap card is not only slow, but not many decks run that many traps. But it's still fun to have. I've found that it comes up against certain decks like Traptrix and Altergeist can be very, very fun to use, and it is just more in the deck that we can access. 2700 and 2900 defense is quite strong, but generally Beast and Arsenal with the other ones we want to run. I just feel like 2 of each is a good mix, and I've never had a problem with resource management in this deck. Some people have said, why don't you run 3 Arsenal or 3 Beast? I've never needed to. I think 2 of each have been absolutely perfect. Now we're going to get into the spells. Playset of Mutant Evolution Lab and a Terraforming. Mutant Evolution Lab, upon activation, we can special summon a level 4 or lower mutant monster from our hand or face-up banish. So, could be very good. Generally, we're going to be doing it from the hand as a play starter. So if we open MO5 and ST46, we're going to get the 2 searches and 2 monsters on the field. Our monsters will gain 100 attack for each unique mutant banished card face up. So that's, it is whatever. Any kind of attack boost like that isn't very pivotal. But the other one, which is quite good, is we can we can place a level 8 mutant monster from our hand to the bottom of the deck to draw a card. So if we open, say, a Mutant Mist, we can pop this bottom of the deck to draw a card, which, maybe we draw into Mutant. So very good all-around spell card. I mainly use it to help facilitate these special summons. We will be, we'll have a lot of mutant monsters that are banished, that are level 4 or lower throughout the duel. So this being able to special summon it and then trigger is very, very powerful. So I like running the 3 of those and a Terraforming for consistency's sake. Next, I run a playset of Mutant Fusion. A lot of people don't like to run Mutant Fusion at 3. I freaking love it. Mutant Fusion is a great fusion spell for the sake that if our opponent has activated a card effect during our turn, we can use 1 material each from our graveyard and deck. And if you guys are familiar, say, with Dinomorphia, being able to special summon from the deck, like Shadows, like Fusion Destiny, like Red Eyes Fusion, anything that uses materials from the deck, very, very good. Our opponent these days, even in Tyler and I's casually competitive pure meta, we're always activating stuff in our opponent's turn. This is always live. So we want to go into Mutant Ultimus as soon as possible. We want the Omni Negate and then banish it. Mutant Fusion just allows us to go into that. Even if we're going second and we just want to go into Mutant Synthesis for a pop, this allows us to do it. We don't have to wait a turn with our Fusion Trap. So I definitely think this is a 3 of. It's searchable, and the fact we can potentially use materials from our graveyard and our deck, very, very powerful. Love Mutant Fusion. Now this is where the ban list helped Mutant exponentially. We have 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Also not once per turn, which is quite fascinating. E-Tele, if you're unfamiliar with the infamous card, special summon a level 3 or lower mutant monster from your deck to the field. All of the monsters here that I showed, level 3 or lower. So, this is what I said where mutants have in crazy power, have a crazy ability to play through our opponent's interruptions, and a big portion of that is because of E-Tele. They can try and stop certain summons or certain triggers. E-Tele will allow us just to do it again, depending on the situation. So E-Tele absolutely throw off. If you run a deck that has loads of level 3 or lower psychic monsters, run E-Tele at 3. It is a must. Next we run 2 copies of Trade-In. The boss monsters in the Mutant main deck are all level 8, so even if we open up a Mutant Mist, Trade-In, draw 2, very, very good. That also puts Mutant Mist in the grave to where it is potentially material for Mutant Fusion, so very, very good. I don't like running it at 3 because we don't run too many level 8s, we run 6 in total, so 2 kind of feels like it hit the sweet spot. 2 copies of Twin Twisters, just to get rid of pesty back row. You know, Solemns are always very, very annoying to deal with, so Twin Twisters just helps break it. Monster Reborn definitely helps, especially if we're going second. Our opponent thinks they're being sneaky by interrupting a certain play with our monster. Just Reborn it. Keep going, keep making plays. You can definitely replace this if you want to run an Ash Blossom, something like that. Go for it. Same with the Twin Twisters. Next we run 3 copies of Mutant Expansion. This is here for consistency's sake. May actually be changed because Mutant has kind of made Mutant Expansion a bit redundant. Mutant Expansion was good because it just special summons a level 4 or lower mutant directly from the deck. And then we'll get the trigger, and then it just helps facilitate plays. But it always was a bit janky because it's a trap. And having to special summon a low level mutant monster in our opponent's turn, generally not going to do too much except try and set up for next turn. So you can definitely run this at 2, I would say. That's probably what I'm going to drop it down to. Maybe run an extra hand trap if you'd like, or whatever you'd like, really. That's where you've got an empty spot. So I would say maybe 2, 3 right now while I experiment a bit more, but I do think with the addition of Mutant, especially in this build running it at 3, Mutant Expansion, you probably only need to run 2. So yeah, I would say have some fun with it. Maybe run it at 2 or 3, definitely more than 1. Next we run the phenomenal Mutant Cry. This is our fusion card that allows us to fusion summon in our opponent's turn. Obviously it's a trap. This is a bit different. Mutant Fusion banishes materials. This allows us to shuffle the materials back into the deck from our hand, field, graveyard, and face-up banish. So very, very powerful. Also, sorry, can't use the ones from the hand, so it's field, grave, or face-up banish. So it kind of works in tandem with Mutant Fusion. We can banish, and then the next turn in our opponent's turn, go activate Mutant Cry to shuffle them back, so we've got resources. Mutant Cry is great, especially at getting Mutant Synthesis out for the pop in our opponent's turn, but also great at getting Ultimus out, because we're generally going to have more cards in the graveyard and the face-up banish by this point. Mutant Cry is phenomenal at just getting a big body, forcing our opponent to play through Mutant Beast and Mutant Arsenal, having to deal with a negate and a banish, and then bring out our proper Omni Negate. It's a pain in the ass to deal with. So Mutant Cry definitely a 3 of in my opinion, because it helps with consistency and we want to go into Ultimus as soon as possible. 1 copy of Mutant Clash. Banish a mutant monster from grave, negate the effects of one effect monster on the field. Very, very good. I would say maybe run this at 2 instead of 3 mutant expansions. So maybe 2 mutant expansions, 2 mutant clash. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Because monster effect negate's pretty damn good, and we've always got mutant monsters in the grave. And even if they're banished face up, we can bring them back depending on what we banish. So mutant clash, probably run it at 2 and drop mutant expansion down to 2. And then lastly, we run the dreaded Warning Point. This card has been the bane of my existence, and this is the deck I feel it works best in. The reason I don't run Solemn Strike or Solemn Warning, I tend to run playsets of Solemn Strikes in all of my decks because the monster effect negate is very, very powerful. But because Mutant is so prevalent right now in this deck, it's very, very important, and we take a lot of damage when we special summon the monster we special summon. It's at least going to be 2400 damage. If we activate, a Solemn Warning and take 2k or 1500 with Solemn Strike, it does very easily put us in a lethal position for our opponent. So I feel like Warning Point is the better way to go for this build right now. It's very, very good because it's a dead card. Our opponent can't get rid of it, really. No effect, can't attack, absolutely dead. So not as good as Solemn Strike or Solemn Warning, but just as good because we can't afford to take the life point cost. So that's the reason I run Warning Point over, say, any of the Solemns. So that's it for the pure variant mutant deck build. I adore this deck. It is so damn strong with how consistent it is, and any Omni Negate that just banishes in the card game is always going to be very, very powerful, and at 3500 attack as well. Quite easy to get into. Incredible. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to leave a comment if there's any tech cards you feel will work in this variant. Definitely let us know. I love what you guys have been doing. Leave a comment for any other deck builds you'd like to see, any live duels. If you guys want to see Mutant in some live duels, let us know. We'll try and make it happen. Continue being social, man. We love what you guys do. You guys have been really, really great. Make sure to subscribe. Get some other people to subscribe. Leave a comment. Send us some hate mail. We're always about that. We're about the heat. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will be back with the next deck build and live duel. Peace.